Friends, I want to say just a couple of words about stewardship and also bring you up to date about currently some things that are happening in our congregation financially. In 2019, we are 3/4 of the year operating under budget, which I think everybody would probably agree is good news, that we are being good stewards of what has been planned and what has been given. However, we also have identified that we are behind in pledged dollars and other identifiable giving. So, it's not cause for alarm, but it is important for us to know that in order for us to finish the year where we expect and intend to, that we need to make sure that we are continuing to not only be faithful in our giving, but generous. A couple other notes that I'm sure you have heard, and today we were able to celebrate that we are a church that is growing. We are on track to have 500 plus members by the end of the year. We're not there yet. So there are a handful of folks, some of you hopefully are in the room right now, that we need to get in the door officially before the end of the year, if for no other reason, because I said to the session halfway through the year, I think we can have 500 members, let's do this. And they said, you're right, let's do this. Now, what that means, y'all, is not just good news. That, in our culture and in our day and age, is outstanding news. Raise your hand if you've seen an article in the paper or online in the last 2 months about how the church in the United States is declining. And right now, by God's grace and by your generous welcoming of others, that is not who and how we are. Another thing that's important for us to note is that as we grow, that increases the wear and tear on the property. It's going to say on the staff as well, but I won't say that. But on the property, that is, more folks are coming in and using the building, and the carpet is not as it needs to be, and several other things as well. Our property committee is doing a fabulous job of keeping up and keeping ahead of what is going on. But this is how this works. A couple of weeks ago, there was one 24-hour period that I sort of was watching out for because of a number of different things. Within that 24-hour period, we had 2 different meetings of AA. We had Hopeful Horizons, who were in our building, using it for their staff meeting. We had 4 or perhaps 5 different Bible studies that were going on. We had the meeting of Young Lives in order to reach out and minister to teen moms in our area. And there was another nonprofit that was meeting in the building, and I can't recall exactly who they were. But we were all here together, and the parking lot was as full, if not fuller, on a Tuesday and Wednesday than it was on a Sunday morning. That has been a goal ever since I got here. But it means that we have to do more and be more generous in order to keep up and in order to make our property continue to be a place of blessing, not just for us, but for others. Came in this morning early, and one of the things that I noticed in the men's bathroom in the education building was that the sink was dirty. And when I saw the sink that was dirty, I sort of cringed a little bit and thought, that's not good. The sink should be clean on a Sunday morning. What's going on? And then I remembered what was going on. Last week, towards the end of the week, and after our cleaning crew, which we hire out, had come and gone, one of our members was here, and they were taking 400 jars of peanut butter that we had been collecting over to Help of Beaufort. You know, we're only about 50 jars short of 1,000 for this year. Well, during that event, this person also ran into somebody who was homeless. And rather than sending them on their way, they welcomed them into the building. And I'm pretty sure that the dirty sink in the men's bathroom was because that guy was here because one of you loved, welcomed, and invited him in. It wasn't a beautiful day and crisp and cool like it is today on that day. And this welcome then led to that same person, anonymous, who said, "Do you think it would be a good idea if I went with him and found some other folks and offered food to them this afternoon?" And the elder with whom I was gathered and this other person, who's also an elder, all decided that would be a good idea. And so that is a part of what happened. Last week, actually the week prior, I had a meeting with two members of the church who decided that they wanted to give a very significant outreach pledge to the church for ministries of compassion. And friends, it was a pledge that then within 24 hours turned into a significant check. They had also been in touch with some friends who thought that they also might want to become involved, and so that almost nearly doubled just in the space of about 48 hours of us finding out that this was something that one of you or two of you wanted to do. So, this week, you should have received your statement from the church by email or in an envelope. And you should have also received a pledge card. Now, the reason we send the statement is so that you can know where you are. Are you current? Are you ahead? Or are you behind? Now, you notice I didn't have you raise your hand when I ask all those questions. But it's there for you to know so that you'll be able to act accordingly. Now, that is the purpose of a statement. The pledge card is about your plan and the need we have to know what that is in order for us to make good plans and preparation. But I wonder about this. What is the statement that you would make about your pledge? That is, with whom have you talked about it? I don't mean amount, but in your family, has there been a conversation about what you're doing? If your family has been reduced perhaps to there just being one of you making the decisions, have you had a conversation with anybody else about giving? And again, not talking about the amount that you're giving, but just having a conversation about stewardship. And when you think about what your plans are this morning, ask yourself this question. Are you going to notice the increase that you have made? Will you feel that? Will you feel that each month? Will you feel that each week? Will you feel that over the course of a year? Or if you have to decrease, will you notice that? And when you think about your plan, would you describe it as enough or extra or perhaps even extraordinary? That is, what you're planning to do is significant enough that it's going to have an impact on your faith. There's a pledge card in your bulletin this morning. Some of you brought pledge cards to turn them in. If anything that I have said in the last 4.5 minutes is giving you pause, then we don't want your pledge card this morning. I would much rather you take it home, that you prayerfully consider, if you haven't, or reconsider what's going on, the part that you are being called to play, and after that, that you make your commitment towards 2020. Friends, today, if you are turning in a pledge card, we're going to do that along with our regular offering. So the ushers are going to make their way forward, and we will receive God's tithes, our offerings, and perhaps, if some of you are fully prepared, pledges as well. Please come.